individuals, including assemblymen and mayors. Underscore.
This is the beginning of part 2. I want you to suck my dick of such a good job I did.
More than ever, the pervasive nature of public corruption in this state. On the other side, the FBI and IRS have arrested and summoned 15 members of connected international money laundering rings, including 5 rabbis and their associates. As outlined in the complaints, these rings, led by clergymen, cloak their extensive criminal activity behind a facade of rectitude.
Jesus Christ. These 5 rabbis, what were they all? Using Israel to transport their money?
Let me give you a few more details, and then SAC Wason Dunn and ASAC Ed Caro will talk a little more about the investigation, and SAC Julio La Rosa will have a few remarks. Arrested today, I'm just going to give you a couple of my highlights. Daniel Van Pelt, a state assemblyman from Ocean County. Harvey.
Oh, there we go. First sack of shit that's been sucking the taxpayer dry.
Smith has to be summoned because he is out of state. He is also an assemblyman from Hudson County. His warrant is unsealed at this time. Some of its
That's because he's running.
noteworthy statements as set forth in the complaint include the following. At one point, when the CW referred to a $5,000 payoff and said he was generous to Smith, Smith's response was, "According to your standards, you're generous." At another point, he told the CW to stop talking about money.
Here, let me tell you what that meant. He said, "Oh, you were generous." Well, in your case, you're generous. In other words, 5,000 wasn't enough.
He said, "I feel like I should pat you down." The next person I'll mention is Peter Camerano III, mayor of Hoboken. I think he's been in office about 3 weeks.
Look at this guy. Young kid, huh? He just got into office 3 weeks ago. Already sucking the taxpayers dry. Huh? Running his own mafia routine.
As set forth in the complaint, some of Mr. Camerano's noteworthy statements include, on May 19th at the Malibu Diner, talking about the runoff election in Hoboken, he said, "I could be indicted and still get 85 to 95% of the vote." Later in that conversation, he told the
He is being indicted, and he still got 80 to 95% of the votes.
CW, the cooperating witness, the CW, he broke the world down into 3. People with us, you guys. People who climbed on board in the runoff, they have to get in line. And people who were against us the whole way, they get ground into powder. On June 23rd, when the CW offered $10,000, Mr. Camerano says, "Great. And we're going to be friends for a long time." The next person I want to mention is Dennis Elwell, the mayor of Secaucus. The next one is Anthony Suarez.
Oh, here we go, the mayor of Secaucus. He's an old-time bloodsucker.
Mayor of Ridgefield Borough. Leona Baldini, deputy mayor of Jersey City. Lou Manzo, former assemblyman and candidate for Jersey City mayor. According to the complaints, Lou Manzo's brother Ron, also charged today, coached the CW so that when the CW said, "I'm investing in Lou Manzo in exchange for development approvals," Manzo told him not to use the word approvals, but rather to use the code word opportunities. There are a host of other officials and middlemen also arrested today. It was the network of middlemen, including John Guarini, Meyer Khalil, Ron Manzo, Jack Shaw, and Ed Cheatham, who introduced the FBI CW to the public officials.
I guess these are all the guys they're showing now.
As a developer and businessman.
Look, that Jewish guy's being let out by Van Diesel.
I don't donate, I invest, the CW would say in meetings, in parking lots, at restaurants, luncheonettes, diners, offices, basement boiler rooms, and bathrooms. And the politicians willingly put themselves up for sale. Hundreds of thousands in bribes were paid in those places.
Hey, politicians are always up for sale. When the hell did that ever change?
The complaints show that for these defendants, Corruption was a way of life. They existed in an ethics-free zone, and they exploited giant loopholes in the state's campaign contribution rules.
This is sounding like a happy bedtime story for Muslim terrorists.
Our CW routinely had his proposed
With all the Jews involved in it.
projects moved to the top of some official's pile because he paid off. With so many profiting off a corrupt system, is it any wonder that few want to change the system? Once again, the victims are the average citizens and the honest business people in this state. They don't have a chance in this culture of corruption. On the money laundering side, these complaints paint a disgraceful picture of religious leaders heading money laundering crews acting as crime bosses. They use purported charities, entities supposedly set up to do good works, as vehicles for laundering millions of dollars in illicit funds. The rings were international in scope, connected to Deal, New Jersey, Brooklyn, New York, Israel, and Switzerland.
Wow, man. Even Switzerland got in on that.
And they trafficked in cleaning and of dirty money all across the world. We have 3 charts illustrating the flow of cash and checks. I was hoping to use the screen, but the screen's blocked, so we're handing those out. Don't worry about that. In about 2 years, these defendants laundered over $3 million just with our
Now, aren't you glad this guy isn't going to talk very long and hand it over to the next guy?
CW alone. I must also mention, connected to the money laundering, we have one defendant, Mr. Rosenbaum, who we refer to as our kidney salesman. As set forth in the complaint, his business was to entice vulnerable people to give up a kidney for $10,000.
They were selling kidneys for $10,000? Jesus Christ, what kind of lowlives did they get? Crack addicts? Everyone knows you sell your kidneys for $60,000.
Which he in turn would turn around and sell for $160,000. At this point, I'd like to
see what I mean?
turn the podium over to Special Agent in Charge, Wason Dunn. Thank
God! What a...
you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mara.
Over here. Go ahead.
I would like to start by, first of all, acknowledging a number of people in my office who have worked very, very hard over a significant period of time on this
I wish you wouldn't acknowledge them and get right to the point.
investigation. The case agents are Bill Waldy, Don Russ, and Sean McCarthy. The case was supervised by Daniel McKenna and Michael Costanzi, and then Ed Kerr, who you're going to hear from in a few moments, was the executive on my staff that had direct oversight of this case. So my congratulations to them. I also want to thank our partners at the U.S. Attorney's Office and the IRS Criminal Investigation
Okay, Wakimoto, get on with it.
Division. The arrests that Mr. Mara just announced are truly unprecedented. They are unprecedented because of the combination of the number and prominence of the individuals involved, the dispersal of the alleged criminal activity throughout the state, and the broad variety of crimes which have been charged. Starting at 6 a.m. this morning, more than 300 agents of the FBI...
Wait a minute. Was that someone's phone going off over there? Huh? Did I hear that? Didn't they know to put it on vibrate?
and the IRS CID fanned out through the state of New Jersey and into the greater metropolitan New York area to execute search and arrest warrants at 54 different locations. As Mr. Mara indicated, the people that we have arrested today include mayors, deputy mayors, New Jersey state assemblymen, city councilmen, city council candidates, and a variety of other public officials ranging from commissioners to regulatory inspectors, and of course a number of rabbis from the Jewish community.
And of course the rest of the guys he mentioned were Jewish too.
The list of people we arrested sounds like it should be the roster for a meeting of community leaders. But sadly, they weren't meeting in a boardroom this morning. They were in the FBI booking room. The people we arrested came from Ocean County.
Okay, people, this is number 3 going to come up now.